improving services for Minnesota's veterans, from stable housing and skills training to mental health support, is one of the aims of the Senate's budget for Veterans and Military Affairs. I spoke with the chair of that committee, Senator Andrew Lang, this week. You are new to the role of chairman. This legislative session is your first as the chair of Veterans and Military Affairs Committee. You've done well enough that Minority Leader Susan Kent praised your leadership on the Senate floor. And I'm curious, does being a major in the Minnesota National Guard provide a unique perspective for this work?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Shannon. I think so. I think having, and this is probably something that most military service members would say, that if you haven't worn the uniform, you haven't gone through, even something like basic training or a service overseas, you probably just don't quite get it. A lot of people have family members that have served, and they have a unique perspective as well. But yeah, having that experience, I think, is important to when you start making decisions, whether it's behind a gavel or on a committee bench. It's, I think it's entirely important. That's why we oftentimes pick teachers to lead the education committee, or lawyers on judiciary, or CPAs on the tax committee. I think it's important that they have that experience. So yeah, and as far as Susan Kent's complimentary remarks, I appreciate them. So.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the bill. The Veterans Omnibus Bill was rolled into the State Government and Elections Omnibus Bill. Your proposal spends $8 million to support veterans in a number of ways, making sure that they're cared for, as you said, from when they return from service until their golden years. What are some of the efforts that would be funded? Well,
when they return to service, so we've worked on a couple of real. This is something where the military and vets area has not, we've seen ourselves suffer, and it's in veteran suicide and PTSD and other issues, where the department's really taking a close look on that and hopefully leading the way on how we're going to try to accomplish stopping those veteran suicide. I think that's important to mention. We talked about jobs and training in GI Bill for those veterans that are in the ages that can go back to school, learn a new trade if they need to, or possibly increase upon some of the education that they have already. So, and then golden years, what I meant by that was we've funded 3 new veterans homes, and we have a substantial veterans home system as it stands right now. But as we move forward, how can we increase that? How can we make that better? And I think, honestly, Senator Newton and myself, as the DFL lead in the Senate Veterans Committee, he doesn't like the outstate homes, but I said, that's fine. We'll get the outstate homes done, and then we're going to come back to Minneapolis and work on the homes there, or the beds there. So I've made that commitment to him. But yeah, there's definitely, this is my 5th year in the Senate, and this is probably the most money we've thrown at veterans issues for since I've been here, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So.
Well, so you mentioned. Well, one thing you didn't mention, actually, is homelessness, and you did mention it on the floor. How big of a problem is homelessness among veterans, and what is proposed to help?
Well, so we have worked with the department, the housing department, and both military and Veterans Affairs committee agencies, and we put some money. I think it was $1.5 million. Towards ending that veterans homelessness. And this is something where Commissioner Ho and the governor, and I think rightfully so, said they can statistically eliminate veterans homelessness. And I think we have about 200 and just under 300 people that are veterans and homeless. What this program will do is not only get them off the streets, but the intent is to keep them off the streets. How do we get them job trained? How do we get them housing secure? And hopefully, if it works out right, we can have some sort of a path lane for other programs throughout the state to follow. So as we go forward, we can say, well, this is how the vets did it with 300, individuals. Can you do the same program with others? So, we're going to give it a whirl.
Now, one thing that you did mention was the problem of suicide among military members, and you also mentioned that you've personally experienced this. I assume you know people who have taken their own life. There's money for recognizing veteran suicide prevention and awareness, having a day set aside for that. But there's also some other stuff. Can you talk about that?
So it's all a lot of mental health stuff. There is, this is, like I said, this is a big initiative of the agency, and I've supported that as much as I possibly can. And I think you can see it it's the only area that I said, yep, throw every dollar that they ask for towards it. I think it's important. Not that I don't think that homelessness is. I just wanted this to be the #1 target of the Senate committee. As we move forward, yeah, there's, in my personal experience, that this is something where it isn't, I think we've talked about the numbers and how many numbers can we affect. And this is maybe something where just that one single person that we can stop from doing something rash is a good thing. And yeah, that's, in my personal life, when you come back from deployment, you're not quite ready. And the military and the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon and all these groups that have worked really hard to try to fix that, to try and soften the blow. We have 90 days of reintegration training or reintegration things with our friends and family as we come back into the States, and they're trying to figure out what works. And and I think it's making effect. But there are a few people that I've known, and even personally, I wasn't exactly the happiest person when I came back from either deployment. And you're kind of just in a different state of mind. So I think it's important that we took a good look at that and try to bring our boys and girls back from a tough assignment, and get them as what they were when they left. So it's important, and this is a step in the right direction.
Now, related to that is the problem that stems from PTSD or some other service-related trauma, veterans coming back and getting negatively interacting with law enforcement. There is an expansion of the Veterans Restorative Justice Act to provide that path to rehabilitation. How will this work? How many people will it affect?
Well, again, speaking from a personal standpoint, that's when I know, dozens or more than dozens of people that have returned from overseas and, gotten into DUI, gotten this, another infraction of some other sort. And partially, is it due to PTSD? Is it due to, not being able to handle emotion, not being able to handle a stressful situation? And I truly believe that, yes, it has a lot to do with it, because those guys and gals just went through something that, less than 1% of the population is going to experience. And even a smaller portion of those folks that were deployed actually, served in combat roles. So it is a small number of people we're talking about, but I know some of them. I know some of them personally. What I would say is the Veterans Restorative Justice Act is both based on some of the veterans courts that the state has had operating for years, and it probably goes a little bit further. And there's two different versions of it now. The Senate and the House both have a version. In the Senate, we have carried the House version, and the House has portions of what the Senate is carrying now. I think at the end of conference committee, and we just started yesterday, and again, in a few minutes here, we're going to kick off our second day of conference. We will have a bill that will do what we want it to do. That is, providing a court a little bit of a path to allow some of these vets that may have extenuating circumstances to say, you know what, we're going to give you this chance to get your life back in sync, and you're not going to be paying for it for the rest of your life. We're going to allow you to have a good experience here, and hopefully clean your record up. So,
Senator Andrew Lang, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, Shannon.